We have been in a really precarious position since the money ran out from my divorce and the money ran out from my book deal, both of which I did not save in the way that I perhaps could have because I have been successful. And I kind of just assumed this is terrible. I feel stupid saying it. I assumed more work would come.
Same here.
Like, I just thought, okay, people know who I am. I'm good at this. I've always gotten a job eventually. I've had dry periods, but it's happened. And then it just didn't happen. Right.
Yeah.
And so part of me has been like, I've been on LinkedIn, I've been on Indeed, I've tried to hustle. And I don't know about you, but I think if you really had to look for a job, you might be in the same position, which is I can't get a job.
No, I mean, in December, I was talking to my friend about could I go pick up some shifts bartending at her
Oh,
restaurant.
like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I don't live in a place where these jobs really every job I could have in Iowa that is in the media I've had, and I could go teach, but I just want to be realistic. I have taught before that earns no money and is a lot of hours. I make it sound like, oh, I'll just go back to do this. I know these jobs are also very hard to find. When I say I'll do anything, I was thinking about when I first moved here, I worked at a coffee shop because I couldn't find any work. Should I email my old boss at the coffee shop and see if I could pick up some shifts? Those were the things I was thinking about.
Well, we're being real here.
Yeah.
I've not quite at a place that makes sense for me, I think. And I also don't mean to, I know you'll do anything. I like to think, and that sounded weird. I meant I respect that you have no ego involved here.
Oh,
right. I come from somewhat similar, not quite precarious place. I know the boom bust cycle. My mom was a manic depressive alcoholic, like very familiar with the appearance of privilege and abundance, and then everything being taken away.
Mm-hmm.
But when I have had well-meaning friends suggest either teaching or getting a retail job, my decision has been, I don't know if that makes sense for me. I can still get freelance gigs. I still have podcasts. I still have writing workshops that I teach. So that's kind of the puzzle. I feel like I'm willing to go do that work. I think I am. But as a creative, like as a 52-year-old who has to also manage mental health and whatnot, does that make sense for me? It's a privilege of being trapped by the ability to be a creator in some ways. Does that make any sense at all?
My experience of being a creative person is always like, I didn't make money from it for so long.
Right.
That to me, when I think about the jobs I had, I really didn't work full time as a writer until 2020. Probably because even before 2020, I was still doing these other jobs behind the scenes, right? And then that immediately got taken away from me. So when I think of creative work, I think of it as the work I'll always be doing. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it will always pay. I hear what you're saying, but that's also the privilege of still feeling like I'm able-bodied enough to then physically go do a 6-hour shift or something like that. So, Mike, how are you thinking about this?
At the end of last year, I found myself in the most precarious position I've been in since my divorce. This is divorce pod. This is all the way divorce pod right here. I was in a situation where I had been doing music and started doing a group thing that wasn't quite as fulfilling for me financially as an individual, just because you got to split everything 3 ways. I had a television show that I had sold that was in a really good position to go, but then it didn't happen. And so I was at this point when I was looking 6 months ahead in the future, like, oh, this is it. Like, this is about to be a wrap. And so I got really serious about trying to find a job. I arrived at a similar conclusion that Anna did, in that I am aware now that at least in terms of any currently constructed, honest looking resume for me, I'm unemployable. Because what my resume looks like is someone who does not want to be doing the thing that they're applying to. They want to be doing the thing that they've been doing.
Yeah.
And in this current job market, especially here in LA, where All the studios are shutting down, all the productions are shutting down, and the job market is just full of people who were previously doing something else. It's a lot easier for them to find somebody who was doing something a little bit closer to what it is that I'm applying to. I came away from all of it at different levels, just feeling like it was crushing me to go through this process, because I think that when it came down to it, I was doing this, looking for these jobs because I had to, but not at all because I wanted to. And I've been very used to living the life that I want to live and making money that way. And I recognize the privilege and the ego of all of that, but it's also very emotionally true for me in a way that I wasn't necessarily prepared to deal with when I was looking at these job postings, feeling like I was trying to reconfigure my job history into something that looked nice for them and writing a nice cover letter and never hearing anything back. It was just a lot, felt like a new kind of failure that I could not deal with at all. So I came away from it deciding that I needed to just hustle harder. And, you know, part of that is why we're here today. But I encountered parts of myself that made that process feel incredibly difficult to deal with.
I live in a smaller town, right? So I feel like I have some connections where I could be like, oh, hey, is it okay if I pick up some shifts or something? But there is part of me that still wants to do it. My schedule with my kids isn't consistent enough. If it was, I think I would be doing it right now just to get me out of the house. I like to talk to people. I'm like the only extroverted writer in America. There's two of us. And the other one's probably in jail for something awful. But I mean, but yeah, if I had to apply for something, I would be screwed. Yeah, absolutely. So I do think there's enough people in my town who don't actually believe that I earn a living, that like last year, I had somebody on LinkedIn for this company I used to work for, and they're such a lovely company, so I'm not going to name them. They reached out to me, and I'm only nominally on LinkedIn. They reached out to me on LinkedIn. They're like, do you need a job?
Oh, God.
And that my book had just been a New York Times bestseller. And I was like, I'm good. But actually, how much would you pay? Like, and she's like very sweet and told me. And I was like, okay, maybe I could reach back out to her again.
I think Mike put it better than I did. And I think he and I are in similar positions. When I've done the math of trying to get a job at a place I wouldn't mind working, getting a job that's just like scut work, that's not enough money to plug the hole. Right?
Yeah.
And it's an emotional cost. I'm not sure if I could do the work that I'm doing now, which is almost covering what I need. Okay. So, and I also think about applying for those jobs and I'm like, who's going to hire me? Like with my last waitressing job was 30 years ago, right? My last bookstore job was 25 years ago. Then I think about the whole like trying to get a media job, even like a non-fancy media job. I actually applied for a job as an editor at a publication, not like junior, but just a mid-tier editor that I was like, all right, well, that's the job. I would get health insurance. I could still work on my memoir. Podcasting is really fun for me. So I could probably continue doing podcasting. I might not be able to do freelance writing, but I did the math. And it seemed to work out. I sent in a cover letter and a resume, and I got a call back from the editor saying, you don't want this job. I saw your resume. Yeah, you don't want this job. You're Anna Marie Cox. Like, what he then said is, you should be writing for us. And I was like, yes, I would love to. And then I pitched some things and they didn't bite. So that was dispiriting.
Yeah, it's a long, winding road to get to a no. Like, Jesus.
And that's bullshit. Like, that editor knows what the economy is like. And to just not take you seriously like that is really insulting.
I'm going to cry right now thinking about it. We had coffee. Like he said, I got your resume. Let's have coffee. And I was like, all right.
Oh, the heart flutters.
And then to not take your pitches after that, too. It's just like, and by the way, they'll be like, oh, yeah, do this deeply reported piece for 3,000 words and you'll get $600, which is a real thing.
I don't want to reveal the place, but this place in particular, like, it's fine. It's good. It's good. They do good work. But still, it was like everyone has a story about why they don't respond and what's happening in their lives, et cetera. Maybe I'm bringing more of a backstory to this than is really there. But at the same time, it was a real experience of what Mike's talking about with trying to put a resume together and applying for something and then having the experience of being like, all right, well, that's not going to work either. And turning to just, what else can I do? I have this good workshop business that I love. I absolutely adore doing it. It turns out I'm really good at it. I have another friend. His name is Chris Marshall. He is an entrepreneur here in town. He opened the first sober bar in Texas, has just an ideation machine. And he and I were having coffee and he was like, what do you love doing? And I'm like, well, I've taught writing a few times and I love it. And he's like, all right, bingo. And like kind of helped me kind of set it up to begin with. And I wouldn't have come to the workshop writing unless I was desperate for money. So that's a gift. But I also kind of, again, now I feel bad about complaining.
There's too many Midwesterners in this conversation.
You're going to be able to pay my mortgage this month. That's not enough, though.
I would say that the last time I was really financially comfortable was probably 2023.
Okay.
And it's 2025. That 2 years just really lives in my chest. And I feel like I'm getting too comfortable struggling. Like this is not fun. That's just to echo what you're saying. It's not enough, right? It's not enough to just be comfortable for a month. I don't think that's good for us. I don't think that's a good life.